What's up, everybody? It's time for another Calibria Crystal Guardians video. Today we're talking about 3 brand new NAT-5s that people have been summoning but are not in the archives. So you're telling me there's secret NAT-5s? I first learned about this rather, when I was streaming Calibria and people were asking me on my input on these different units, and I'm like, what? Where is that? They're like, it's right over here. And I'm like, I don't see it. It's nowhere. It's not in the archives. And they were like, oh my god, I summoned a monster that's not in the archives, and then it happened to more people. So today we're going to talk about the 3 different ones. We have the stats and we can see what they do and how we feel about them. First on the list is Nocturna. This is courtesy of 2 people emailing me about this, Jeffrey and Alex. We could take a look at the picture of her here. She looks like an attack type unit, like a range DPS archer kind of thing. She's got like the whole bow and arrow and cape and hood and bikini, which is always important in these games to make sure that your DPS units are wearing bikinis. I think she's got like some kind of lifesteal effect, which I think those maybe red dots are like, maybe she's like a creature of the night vampire kind of thing. Let's take a look at her skills. Over here we have skill 1, attack an enemy to deal 425% of attack in damage. Dark arrow attack imbued with an additional 30% drain effect, like I was saying with the vampire themed kind of thing. Combo, attack an enemy 2 times. Each attack is 240% of attack and damage. At the end of attack turn, 30% chance to use slot 1 skill against the target. Increase own attack for 1 turn. So she potentially can reset her ability to attack again with the gear that lets you, Berserk gear that lets you attack again. We'll see. I don't know if that's how it works in this game just yet, because I haven't tested it out, but we'll see. For her second combo, for her second skill, the other option is attack an enemy 3 times. Each attack deals 160% of attack and damage, has a 35% chance to decrease defense. At the end of the attack turn, 30% chance to use slot 1 skill against the target. So, things that help her to hit again. This reminds me of like Yen in Summoner's War, right? Which for a lot of the game, people were like, oh, Yen, yuck. Yen, who's gonna use Yen, lulz? I think it was partially because of her element that she is a wind element. People were like, why wouldn't I just use copper or Lucian or something like that? But this is not quite the case with this game, so it's a little bit different. So this is a little bit more valuable because Yen lost value because of her wind element, that she wasn't just straight out kill, ignore defense. So this is potentially interesting, could reset the Berserk counter and make it go crazy. Let's take a look at the other skills. This one, mark 1 random enemy at the beginning of each turn. If you attack the marked target, reduce all cooldowns of own skills by 1 turn, have a 10% chance to act again. Another mechanic that helps you act again, potentially could be crazy, lead to some interesting content, YouTube content, to have her just attack 5,000 times. RNG. You know how that is. But this reminds me a little bit of, again, Yen, and a little bit of like the fire sniper in Summoner's War. So let's take a look at the passive mark, heavy blow. Mark 1 random enemy at the beginning of each turn. If you attack the marked target, reduce all cooldowns of own skills by 1 turn. Reduce the target's defense by 20%. Mark is removed at the end of the... Yeah, it kind of seems like the mark random enemy, right? So mark random enemy here with the defense down. And then the Dark Arrow Storm. This reminds me a little bit of Poseidon's second skill. Attack deal 380% of attack and damage to all enemies. 80% chance to silence targets for 1 turn. She looks like a unit that would be good in... Also, she's got a leader skill. Attack plus 33%. It looks like she's going to be a good arena offense unit / Guild Wars unit. That's really where I feel like she's going to have the most value as far as that. It's nothing crazy as far as like... Seems like just outright broken, aside from the chance to like act 9,000 times, which I gotta keep my eye on that. But yeah, she seems like an arena offense / Guild Wars unit. Next on the list of secret monsters is Arcanist. This was sent in by Parker, David, and Guilherme. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. She's an attack type unit. She seems a little bit cooler, a little bit more my pace. I think there might be some interesting, cool combinations with her. She looks like a cool little mage DPS unit. She's got some nice attack power. Let's take a look at her skills. Her first skill, Arcane Bullet. This I already like first skill even. Okay, fires 2 arcane bullets, attack an enemy. Each attack deals 200% of attack and damage. If attacks deal critical damage, which means if they crit. If it crits, 70% chance to reduce the enemy's attack and poison them for 2 turns in succession. So this is already good for dungeons, right? First skill alone is already like, okay, she's decent for dungeons. Let's see what else she can do. The second, oh no, this is still the rest of the first skill. So the debuff is 100%. 70, and then it goes up 10 and another 20, so it's 100%. Arcane Shock is second skill, well, one of the options for second skill. Attack enemies with arcane power 4 times at random. For each negative status effect on an enemy, attack an additional time up to 4 more times. That seems good. So, potentially 8 attacks. Enemies without buffs are targeted first. Each attack deals 155% of attack in damage. 8 hits. That could be pretty brutal, right? 8 hits could be pretty brutal. Especially if they continue the Summoner's War Rat and put Necropolis in the next, or a Necropolis thing where you have to, like, hit the shield a certain amount of times. So yeah, it could be 8 hits. Right? Especially if it's 4 times at random. We're seeing, like, if this was Necropolis and Summoners War, like, oh, you would build this unit. This is reduced cooldown by 1 turn, so it's usable in 3 turns. Then the second option for skill 2, they're attack enemies with Arcane Lightning 4 times at random. Additional bolt for each of the enemy's buffs up to 4 more times. Each bolt deals 80% of attack and damage. 80% chance to convert enemies' buffs to poison for 2 turns. Enemies with buffs are targeted first. So this, again, depending on what new dungeon they're putting out next, this could be something really cool for the next dungeon that comes out that's not out yet. And I know that there's another dungeon in the works. So this could be something that is... I mean, still... Okay, here's the thing. Like, would you use this for dungeons? Seems cool. If you're using this in, for example, Colossus... bolt for enemies buffs, and then convert enemy buffs to poison, so you convert a little bit, because he's got some buffs, so you convert it into poison, but you don't really need that many extra converts if he's only got like 2 buffs on the boss, right? So I think this is probably going to be something for the dungeon that is not out just yet. This is going to be something awesome for the dungeon that's not out just yet. But there is another crazy amount of hits on Arcane Shock and Arcane Blast. So keep that in mind. I just don't know, like, you could use this in, like, PvP to strip enemies' buffs, but if I was going to strip enemies' buffs in PvP, I would want to either stun or defense break them. I wouldn't want to poison them. So, more often that you kill enemies with defense breaks and nukes in PvP, or things like that, then, like, dungeon bosses, especially early game, you're killing them with poison. Of course, end game, you kill them with defense breaks and nukes, but that's after you have, like, crazy, super awesome runes, right? Then we got, this is, again, this is just the cooldown and the trigger rate on there. And then we have third skill, Passive Magic Pierce. When attack enemies with negative status effects, 70% chance to increase damage by 20%. Goes up to 100%, right? When you're attacking enemies with negative status effects, increase damage. So this is just extra damage. Again, if they're putting out something like Necropolis where you have to multi-hit against the enemy. I mean, they even did this in, like, Raid Shadow Legends where you have to multi-hit. There's a boss that you have to multi-hit too. So it's entirely possible. There's a lot of... In mobile games, they seem to want to keep going the Necropolis route, like Summoner's War did. Do the multi-hits. So... potentially, like, this is another cool unit for that, but, like, attacking enemies with negative status. Too bad this doesn't, like, increase more, like, damage by extra 20% damage per debuff would be even crazier. So, yeah, but it's not bad. Passive Arcane Mastery, immunity against action lock effects, 30% chance to ignore enemies' resistance. This could be potentially for, like, the RT, for Apex Arena kind of thing, maybe. Maybe. I don't know how I feel specifically about this one just yet. Right? Immunity against action lock effects and ignores enemies' resistance. 30% chance. Not even a high chance. And then we have the Diffuse, spread the targets. This one seems like it could be like a really interesting combo mechanic. Spread the target's negative status effects to all enemies and immediately gain another attack turn. So it's effectively like cooldown 6 turns down to 4 turns. This is effectively like 3-turn cooldown because you immediately gain another turn. So this is potentially an awesome combo with something that does like a lot of harmful effects to one enemy. Then you just diffuse and they all have the harmful effect. So it's potentially a cool combo that I don't I don't just know what it's a combo with just yet, but I could see the potential of this diffuse being used as a combo with something else crazy, right? Something that like locks enemies down for a long time, or like gives them a bunch of different like defense break, attack break, slow, you know, CC. So I think it's a pretty cool third skill. I think that there's more potential that I'm seeing in this unit overall that is like going to be unveiled later on, and we're to see the true power later on in the game for her. And then all allied heroes crit rate plus 24. I don't really like the leader skill. And the third and final one is the Shaman, who seems more, I can't see his type right here, but he seems more like a support unit for Apex Arena. Let's take a look at his skills. I know he's got a skill based on attack power, but I still think he seems more like a support, like a fast support unit for Apex Arena. Let's take a look at his skills. His first skill summons Thunder to attack an enemy 3 times. Each attack is a 130% of attack and damage, and a 40% chance to reduce target's attack for 2 turns. Okay, triple hit, attack, power break. Okay, I mean, could be okay for like Colossus, but over dungeon bosses just in general. Ball lightning, oh, this is Magic the Gathering. Throw ball lightning that bounces 5 times in between enemies. It's Magic the Gathering. Deals 140% of attack and damage each time. So again, so this doesn't seem like support unit, right? Because it's a DPS skill, so you want to build him with DPS for this, maybe. But his passive's third skill, his passives kind of seem a little bit different. 140% of attack and damage each time. Each attack reduces enemies energy by 20% and 50% chance to reduce enemies' defense for 2 turns. 5 times between enemies. So it seems random, right? It seems random based on how the skill is worded. I would assume that it's random. And we have the second option for this Ancient Witchcraft. Cast a spell on all enemies to absorb 80% of own attack of their HP. So you take your attack, and then 80% of that is the amount that it steals from their HP, and then it heals your allies based on that. So it's like, oh, you build this as a DPS. Do you, though? Because, I mean, there's things in Summoner's War, like Fran and Elucia, that they do things based on their attack, and you don't necessarily, you try to get attack in subs on them, not necessarily attack in main stats. So I kind of feel like maybe this is kind of going along that route, which you still want to build like more supporty. But the other one, the ball lightning, does damage. Like, you'd still want to put like a lot of attack and crit damage on that because it's a DPS skill. It's a multi-hit DPS skill, right? And then the third one, Voodoo Curse. Curse all enemies. This one seems a little bit weird as far as how it's worded. I'm trying to figure out, wrap my brain around it, my unworking brain around it. Curses all enemies with voodoo magic for 2 turns. Okay. After enemies are cursed, targets will receive all damage taken while curse is active. But I don't understand what that means. After enemies are cursed, targets will receive all damage taken while curse is active. Damage that they do to you? Or, because damage that you do to them, they would already be receiving, right? So damage that they do to you, that seems weird. I want to see how this actually works. As far as how it's worded, it seems like it's worded really confusing to me. Maybe it's just me. Maybe you guys understand it completely fine. But I really want to see how this works to see exactly what it does. Damage from curse ignores defense. If damage exceeds a target's HP while curse is active, curse will explode and deal damage immediately. Damage from curse ignores defense. So does that mean, is that like a full defense break, basically? I'm trying to wrap my head around how exactly the curse works. But maybe it's like an AoE completely ignore defense? Is that what it's trying to say? Like, I'm trying to wrap my head around like the exact wording and understanding it. So I want to make sure that I understand it more before I like give my analysis on it. It seems interesting, but I want to see how it actually works mechanically. Soul Recall resets cooldowns of an ally's skill. Seal cannot be reset cooldown on its. Okay, this is Ganymede. This is just straight up Ganymede, right? Resets cooldown of all an ally's skills. One ally resets cooldown. That's Ganymede. Easiest way to say it. So we're thinking like, based on the things already, I'm kind of feeling like Apex Arena. And then we come into this passive spell resistance, 50% chance to grant all allies immunity for 1 turn. So this is Amelia. So he's Ganymede Amelia. That's what you're saying. He's Ganymede Amelia. Kind of feels like fast, like maybe fast hybrid DPS, like you know how people run like Water Monkey King and Summoner's War like very fast, but also like a little bit of HP on there too. You don't want to just be all DPS. Some people run more DPS, some people run more HP. But Yeah, dude. I mean, you definitely run him fast. Based on the things that I'm seeing, like you definitely want him to be fast, get a lot of turns. But yeah, this is Ganymede Amelia, so kind of rune him like Ganymede Amelia, and then kind of like the first two, or the second skills are kind of more DPS though. So you kind of want to be like a fast hybrid. It feels like he should be a fast hybrid unit, right? Fast hybrid unit. He's got some support stuff, but he's got some DPS stuff. So he's kind of like a little bit of everything. And then you have the leader skill, Guild War, all allied heroes, crit rate plus 33%. So, but it's only Guild Wars and it's only crit rate. So I'm not really too excited about that necessarily, but maybe he's like a cool combination. He could be like a cool combination for Guild Wars. Oh, and we're out of camera. GG. And the Shaman screenshots are courtesy of Moist Snail Poop. Thank you, Moist Snail Poop, for sending those over. Thank you, everyone who sent the screenshots and the information on these units. Super cool that we're able to show them and take a look at what they do and get our thoughts on them. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on where you think these monsters are going to be the most viable or the most usable. I think some of them might be good for Apex. Like, I think the Shaman might be good for Apex Arena. I think the Arcanist might be good for potentially content that hasn't even come out yet, which is kind of interesting, because I know there's a dungeon in the works, right? I know there's another dungeon that is in the works right now. So anyway, leave your comments in the comments section. That's generally where they go. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and that is it for this one.